नित्यं शुद्धं निराकारं निराभासं निरञ्जनं नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दं गुरुं ब्रह्मा नमाम्यहम्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वर गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः।
Shall we start?
Good evening.
Good evening, Badalji. Namaste, Shardaji.
Hi, namaste.
Oh, Meera. in the disguise of Shardaji.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, we can start. Taru, would you share or the screen?
First. Yes, mother. The last time we had done win your little victories and change yourself first. Change yourself first. Did he go through it fully or?
Wrong person to ask.
Yeah. Did do win your little victory.
We completed that, and I think
Yeah.
we did start with maybe Badalji knows. Yeah, Badalji, please go ahead.
Change yourself first. We have finished, and
Finish, right?
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So next time we can ask him. Okay, so this is now a new chapter that we'll be starting today. The heading is Morality, Religion, Yoga. And the passage title is Spirituality and Morality. So if somebody is willing, if they can read the para, we can break it. It's a big one. We can, I don't know, take maybe the first half. Yeah.
I can read.
Okay, thank you.
There is a great difference between spirituality and morality, two things that are constantly confused with each other. The spiritual life, the life of yoga, has for its object to grow into the divine consciousness and for its result to purify, intensify, glorify, and perfect what is in you. It makes you a power for manifesting the divine. It raises the character of each personality to its full value and brings to it its maximum expression. For this is the part of the divine plan. Morality proceeds by a mental construction and, with a few ideas of what is good and what is not, sets up an ideal type into which all must force themselves. This moral idea differs in its constituents and its ensemble at different times and different places. And yet it proclaims itself as a unique type, a categoric absolute, It admits of none other outside itself. It does not even admit a variation within itself. All are to be molded according to a single ideal pattern. Everybody is to be made uniformly and faultlessly the same. Should I continue?
I think we can maybe pause and reflect on this much. It's although very clear, right? And yet, Meera, do you have any reflections on what you just said?
Not true.
Okay, you can maybe later if you have.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we'll just pause here. You know what we were discussing the other day about how somehow it's like, which is very strange, that I don't know, there's this thing that all of us need to be the same. You know, it's the same popular culture, the popular subjects at a certain time, the popular haircuts, the popular. So now it makes, I mean, I don't know, obviously it was very clear, but you know how in morality it is said that it's the few ideas and then you just have to force them yourself through that. Okay, this is moral, do this is moral, do this. So yeah. So morality, I don't know, it's like it says a mental construct, right? So it's a part of the thing. I think we must start from the beginning. I'm just going astray. So there's a great difference between spirituality and morality, and they're often confused. The morality is always somehow used to, I feel, keep spirituality in check, right? That how can you do this? Or, you know, first you must do the other things that you're supposed to do. You know, how especially in our traditional setup also, how it was propagated is that first you live, you know, first you get education, there's brahmacharya, there's this, I don't know, you know, like you get married, then you go vanapas, but whatever. I don't know the terminologies. And then there is time for yourself and you look at spirituality then. So how it's used as a hammer to keep things in check and how different they are, that one thing is so holistic. You know, I'm kind of at the loss of words. Monica, do you want to take over?
No, I think it's completely resonating, whatever you are sharing. So please go ahead.
Yeah, I think just if we get the clarity within ourselves, right? That why am I doing and what am I doing? Because morality, I would say, would always be for fitting in, right? That so that I get the approval, so that everybody says I am right. Like, you know, for respect, for approvals, for acceptance within the core. You know, Acharya Prashant used to use this word dhela. You know how there's this whole, just a mass of something that we are so used to living as a dhela that we don't have any individuality. And for spirituality, the individuality has to be there to say that no, I am so much more than the dhela that I am being told that I am, and I must confine to that. And even that line, which again is my favorite from Savitri, which I have forgotten. I think I didn't sleep well. You know how that sacredness, you know how it was said that in the thread of sacredness, we are tied. You know how a cow is tied to that pole. We are tied because of, you know, we just say it's a sacred thread. You must do this, you must do that. And we don't even know that under the sacredness, what all is being done to us, what all is being asked of us, and what all we keep complying. It's amazing. Yeah, so they are often confused with each other. The spiritual life, the life of yoga, has for its object to grow into the divine consciousness. And for its result, you purify, intensify, glorify, and perfect what is in you. I'm having a visual that spirituality is about expanding, right? Like, okay, you are this much. No, 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 no. You are so much more, so much more, so much more. And morality is about confining, right? That where are you going? See, this is the way. This is the narrow path. I know this is what everybody does. Do this, and then kid, and then another kid, and then house, or whichever order you want to follow depending on culture and community. So that is like taking us towards expansion and narrowness. So it makes you a power for manifesting the divine. It raises the character of each personality to its full value and brings it to its maximum expression. But this is part of the divine plan. Morality proceeds by a mental construction and with a few ideas of what is good and what is not. Sets up an ideal type into which all must fold themselves. And what's interesting is that this ideal type, it varies from generation to generation, location to location, culture to culture. And we don't see that yet. And yet, when it's put, it's very strict, right? That this is it, this is how it has to be. So, I'll stop in a minute. Just one last thing. I remember, I was hearing a talk on Gita. It was by, I don't know, some son Argana Nanji with my father. And there they had said something very beautiful, which had stayed with me. It's been 20 years, maybe I'd seen it. So it was that, how Meera, not our Meera, but our Meera too can be, but Krishna's Meera, that Meera Bai, that how she was beyond morality and how her mother-in-law, she would criticize and just ridicule her and insult her, that see, you are not following morality. Like, painfully how she would be tortured, that what are you doing and what kind of a person you are. And he said, but see, if we look at it now, thousands of years have passed. Nobody even knows the name of Mira's mother-in-law, right? The one who was just criticizing her and telling her to be in that limited mold. And how everybody knows Mirabai, right? And we have people naming children after Mira. So this also should tell you that what is right? Like nobody. So just that, yeah. And I'll stop. Please, this is a very reflective topic.
I think as everything has a need and place, so we can see that why, in the absence of our spiritual realization, since I don't know who I truly am, not connected with my spiritual essence, why there would be a need of morality. So I think we see that it's almost like if there is a red light which is not functional, red signal which is not functional, we can see especially in India, because I don't know about other states or place or countries, especially in India we can see that how what a chaotic circle it becomes, or a choraha it becomes when there is no red light functional, because everyone is just wanting to go that me first, and nobody really wants to follow any rules. First of all, I don't think India has any rules that if red light is not working, the person coming from the right should go first or left should go first. So there is no rule. And in absence of rules, we behave like wild animals. So in that kind of a case, since I'm not truly, in touch with my intuitive knowing and uh, living mostly as a separative ego entity, then it becomes essential to have some moral checks in place. Otherwise, man is coming from animal, and we just behave like animals. If there are, although when we have behaved enough times like an animal, of course we see human spirit arising in the same space, but we are more prone to most of us are more prone to behave like an animal. And yeah, and even actually not animal, going below an animal level. Poor animal is still, instinct driven. But yeah, so I think there is a place for morality, but then when a greater law comes, then there is no place for morality. Yeah. And Mother has given a beautiful play, which I had shared with some of you many months ago, maybe. So, along with Ascent of Truth, that's one play, and there's another play. The name of that play I'm not remembering, but in that play, there is a poet, and the poet lives with uh, some mate, like a female person. I don't know whether she is a wife or not. But then, so they say, how is it shown is that they're both very spiritual oriented, and of a generation more evolved than us. And then there is a neighbor, female neighbor that comes, and the poet somehow gets very bonded with that female neighbor. So some deeper connection is there, which she, although he has a friendly relationship with the wife, but that deeper connection is not there with the wife. So towards the end, and it's written by the mother, so I was very surprised that how, again, how evolved and not constrained in any morality and there. So later on it was shared that there is a like a scene which is happening, and the poet is there sitting in his room, and the wife actually brings the other lady who she knows connects very well with the poet, because all she wants is that may you be happy, and since you connect with her better. And then it's shown that she leaves the scene, the wife, knowing that this is not meant to be, and they both are now together. So this is how the play ends. And now this is against all moral notions, and one can say how unethical, how disloyal, but it's very evolved way of thinking and looking, that if one can see very well that people have grown apart and there is hardly any point of connection, so in a very evolved manner, a higher attitude to give space to something new. So that would be, I think, a good reflection of how spirituality is so vast, as you were sharing, more and more and more, and never really tied to any rigid dogmas. And that's why when there are rigid dogmas, we have cults and religions, and they're fighting with each other, and which is far away from spirituality. Yeah. Again, the sticky mind, I believe, everywhere this sticky mind comes in. So in religion also, I feel that I am doing something really amazing. See, religion, God, talking about God, but still I have a sticky mind. I'm sticking to my own conceptions of God, not giving place totally against the other conceptions. No, you are wrong, you are wrong, this one is right, this is written. We also believe the interpretation, that I know what is written in Quran, this is what it means. So we, again, I feel that the stickiness basically, if changes, as Jetsunma talks about again and again, the sticky mind. And in Mother's yoga and spirituality, we see that Mother also used to say that don't take my answers very rigidly, because I give different answer to every sadhak. So you would see in one letter something else is written, in another something else is written. So where the mind can really go bonkers if we try to apply it as a formula, rigid formula. And that's why the stress on the unfolding of truth within, that's why the stress of first connect with your soul consciousness, so that the unfolding can happen according to your swadharma. Yeah.
No, yet the intention, how we speak about the center of operation, is so, it's like, the major thread that one has to hold, very tightly hold on to, not even a thread, like almost like, the axis on which you rotate. Because again, see, there are so many people who have even taken advantage of these things, right? That, okay, morality is limited. And, like those sects and all that, like one person is married to 80 girls and then marrying the daughters and stuff in the name of, oh, we don't have limits, right? Like, so like you very well said that it has a place, right? Like, first of all, spirituality is not in our society given the place it should be given. It's not revered. It's not. It's like something that special people do, right? And yet we are ordinary beings, kind of. Okay, little bit. Do some. Okay, do some puja, allowed. Okay, go to the temple, allowed. And yet, if you're doing a little bit more, it's kind of not encouraged. So, in the absence of that, morality keeps the society from totally disintegrating and falling apart. Or who knows, falling apart would be better, I don't know. Because, even this thing that how you said in India there are no rules, how it's very criticized at how the level of robberies and how people are so wild in India or developing countries. And yet, I was very amazed that people don't acknowledge this. That say, remember seeing, say, a hurricane is about to come, say in US, right, Florida, and people would go and they would ransack malls. Say the mall is not closed or it's closed, but people are panicking and it's a matter of life and death. So the stores would be burned, maybe, as in the hooliganism is within us. And yet, when it's easy, nobody wants to do it, right? And yet, when it's tougher, these things come out. And yet, we don't recognize that, see, it's just human nature which needs to be tamed, like, whatever. And yet, some cities, some countries, some cultures have criticized that they don't have any rules. We are so sophisticated. And one issue, and where is the sophistication? We don't know. And
Yeah. I
yeah.
was reading, Mother was sharing something about Japan, and it was very interesting to see. She was sharing that in Japan, since all the time there are many, many active volcanoes and, even tsunamis, since it is close to the sea, like an island, all around sea. So people are very used from the very birth itself, from their childhood. People are used to these outward happenings like tsunami. Oh, okay. Like a knock on the door. So what Mother was sharing is that if you see people's calm there, that how quietly they are going about their work. There a volcano is erupting and they're just going about their works. They've been living with this all their life. So it's really amazing to see how difficult situation can give us, this grounding, that since we know everything is fleeting, we have seen it since childhood that things can just vanish in a moment. How long can we stop living our lives? So still we continue, and with a deeper groundedness we continue. So I was very touched to see, and maybe would like to go to Japan someday. Don't know how it is right now, but would be nice to see the grounding in people. And then she was sharing a very beautiful story of a, I think it's a folklore from Japan, that there was a fellow who was a leader kind of a thing in some village, and his place was on a little mountain, like a up area, uphill or up mountain. And suddenly he saw, because from the mountain you can see the sea until the horizon and you can see the changes in the sea. Suddenly he saw that the sea is receding, like it's going back. And he said that, oh, I know, I have seen this the last time. It brought really bad situation. So what happens is the sea goes first back and then it just like comes with a deep greater wave and takes everything along with it. So the moment he sensed this, that now it is the receding part, he said that somehow I have to tell the villagers which were all around the mountain that, come to this mountain. So how do I tell, how do I tell? He was contemplating over it. And what he started to do is that there was a lot of grain, chawal and, rice and all that in his area, in the palace. So he started burning all that. So that was a wealth that he had, and he started burning all that. And and there was a person next to him, and he started crying, oh, my master has gone mad, what do I do? He's burning all the wealth and all that. but he didn't say anything. He just quietly burnt all the things. And then when people saw something burning on the mountain, all the people from downhill, they ran towards the mountain because they really loved this fellow who was their leader, to maybe save him or whatever, rescue him. And slowly, first the youth came because they were able to run fast, then little children, adults, and then the elderly also finally came. Then he asked that, and still he didn't douse the fire down. He asked that, is now everybody here? And then everybody said, yes, we are here. Then he settled the fire, and then everybody saw how the waves came, and entire village was just gone, completely. So mother was sharing that what is a true leader. This is who a true leader is, that who really cares and is sensitive, putting him aside, his wealth aside and his accumulations aside. He's sensitive to that, all the other lives as well. So that was also, I think, very inspirational. Yeah. And also mother was sharing that they are very happy to build, since they know that things can go away like and gone. Tsunami came, village gone. So they don't have any problems with building. Okay, let's build, so they happily do all the things that are required after a destruction. So we talk about equanimity and inner poise and all that. And usually we try to save ourselves from all the disturbances to have our equanimity. But here in the middle of, because of disturbances, we can get that inner poise which is beyond any outward movement. Yeah, so it was very inspirational. So I thought I'll bring it out.
I'll share the screen again. And just one thing, that the hold of morality, especially in the beginning, is so strong that even if we are doing the right thing, if we are even following a heart's call, we keep doubting, right? That whether this is right, whether this is right. This is also one thing that one must, listen to. And
I think this is very common, what you just shared, very important and very, very commonly seen, that since we are not used to follow our heart's call, all that we do is just follow what rules are saying about women, about daughter-in-laws, about daughters, this is how they should dress, this is how they should live. And it feels like one feels actually almost guilty to follow heart's call. Yeah.
so we,
I think maybe we can just read it out. ये वाला जो ऊपर वाला
yeah,
part है ना?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This morality, procedure, and mental construction. नहीं, इसके ऊपर था ये वाला. It makes you a power of.
हाँ.
थोड़ा सा ऊपर. हाँ.
Oh,
और थोड़ा मतलब नीचे करो डॉक्यूमेंट को. Yeah, this much.
is
This,
it?
yeah.
Oh. Shuru say we can just read once. That's what you are saying, no?
Yeah. So I wanted to stress upon this third line. Anyway, there is a great difference between spirituality and morality. Two things that are constantly confused with each other. The spiritual life, the life of yoga, has for its object to grow into the divine consciousness, and for its result to purify, intensify, glorify, and perfect what is in you. So I feel this line is very important, because in yoga or in spiritual life, since the idea is to unite with my true consciousness, so my aim here is to grow into first the immanent divine, the divine that is present within me, to recognize its presence, to unite with its presence to follow the dictates that it tells me to do, and object to grow into the divine consciousness, and for its result to purify, intensify, and glorify and perfect what is in you. So this long and long and long journey towards self mastery and self perfection, while morality is not looking at any of these things, it's just saying that okay, if you behave in a certain and certain manner, that much is enough. So just this outward shallow looking, while in spiritual life the idea is to have an inner mastery and an inner perfection, this glorify and perfect what is in you. So perfecting the instrument that is given to me, it makes you a power for manifesting the divine. So when we take the spiritual path, when we unite or at least walk the unification path to the divine within, it makes me a power, it empowers us. While morality usually doesn't empower us, it drains us down, following rules and rigid dogmas. It may give power to those who are putting down the rules outwardly, but I think inwardly they would also feel very drained because it cannot give anyone energy. So, and the spirituality, it raises the character of each personality to its full value and brings it to its maximum expression. So I think this is very, very beautiful, because it's like you have a drain pipe and you are, through spirituality, you clean all the muck and all the blockages in that drain pipe, so that full potential, the water can go through it in a full potential. Or the example of bansuri that we take, that we can have a bansuri which is just clogged with all the dirt and dust since it has not been used well. And now the task is through spirituality to purify the bansuri and to keep it well tamed and maintained and ready to be used, so that its full value can be achieved. So it raises the character of each personality to its full value and brings it to its maximum expression. And I think all of us want that in our hearts. All of us want this full expression and a kind of a fulfillment in life. But somehow I think for many, many reasons, we don't know how to actually make it happen. So before we get to the right road, we have to take many, many detours. And they also, of course, help us. But yeah. So there was a friend has a birthday very soon, and I was just sharing with her that maybe in what attitude to take a birthday. And this I've been really since Mother and Aurobindo talk about it a lot, that on birthdays we are very open. So I've used often this opportunity to offer myself to the divine more and more and more, and also saying that I will offer resistances, but please don't listen to my resistances also. So I was sharing this with the friend, and she said, yeah, it's good to remind, because it's when I'm hearing you, it's nice, but I would not have recollected that, oh, this is how I can take it. So in the highest possible manner, if we can offer all this instrument, give it to the divine. Now you know the best, and make use of it, especially on the birthdays. We can do it every day, but especially on the birthdays. Yeah. So I think this last part that we didn't read, for this is the part of the divine plan. This maximum and full expression of each and every being, no matter how ordinary, unworthy we may think we are, but this is the divine plan. So all the life situations will happen in certain way in my ignorance, that ultimately I'm led to this maximum expression. Yeah.
You could finish the whole thing maybe, and then we can take up the new parts.
So, morality proceeds by a mental construction and with a few ideas of what is good and what is not. I think this is also very beautiful because if we have now become even a bit conscious of our thoughts, we can see that how limited they are and how I cannot really trust them fully. I cannot be sure of my thoughts, really. No matter how much of logical deduction I may have done based on past experiences, and this is how it has happened with me, and this is how it works, no matter what kind of a logic we may have applied, even then, mental construction is very, very limited and fragile. So I cannot trust it. But morality proceeds by that. So morality proceeds by a mental construction and with a few ideas of what is good and what is not. Sets up an ideal type into which all must force themselves. And that is why, to the younger generation specifically, I think these moral notions appear so suffocating. This moral and how they actually bring out their rebellion is maybe wearing shorter clothes because they don't know how to actually, bring out this rebellion. So, one rebellion would be get in touch with your true consciousness, let it guide your life. But that requires a lot of effort. Who would do that? It's easier to buy a shirt, which is hardly a shirt, and wear it to a school or, wherever. Because that is how I want to show my rebellion. That, see, I don't want to fit in your, frames. So, this moral ideal differs in its constituents and its ensemble at different times and different places. I think this is what you were sharing earlier. And yet it proclaims itself as a unique type. We don't even see that in past also it has been changing according to the different cultures and civilizations and how the morality has been changes. So yet it proclaims itself as a unique type, a categoric absolute. It admits of none other outside itself. So that's where the dogma comes, that whoever goes outside this boundary is now labeled as a sinner. That's where the dogma comes. It does not even admit a variation within itself. So even, and that is why even in, I think that's why I think Christianity, even within Christianity, there are so many different little sects that they have come up, because the moment a little variation is there, you have to form a different thing because you can't handle the variation. So you completely categorize it, that since you are wanting to be different, you form a different cult or whatever, little category itself, and then we hit each other with brooms in the same church. So yet it proclaims itself a unique type, a categoric absolute. It admits of none other than outside itself. It does not even admit a variation within itself. All are to be molded according to this, its single ideal pattern. Everybody is to be made uniformly and faultlessly the same. And that is why so much of hypocrisy, since we are full of variations, we are not a singular line. Even one person is not a singular line. He may appear like that, but he has many shades of gray, which the other people from outside may not know. But because now he has to live up to this image of being a singular line, so much of hypocrisy within churches, so much of this pedophilia and all that within the churches. Why? Because they are portraying some other image which they have to live up to, but they are something else. So it is because morality is of this rigid, unreal nature, that we are not a rigid linear line. We are all many shades of gray. Even one person, even one day, not even in years, one day you look at yourself and how we would be able to see shades of gray, within us. unreal nature, that it is in its principle and it's working the contrary of the spiritual life. The spiritual, I think we just read it till here, right? So somebody else can, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Monica,
yeah.
I'll read.
Yes, please. Thank you, sir.
Oh, Taru, you wanted to read?
No, I just unmuted. I wanted to request somebody to read.
Okay.
Thank you.
The spiritual life reveals the one essence in all, but reveals too its infinite diversity. It works for diversity in oneness and for perfection in that diversity. Beautiful, no? Morality lifts up one artificial standard contrary to the variety of life and the freedom of the spirit. Creating something mental, fixed and limited, it asks all to conform to it. All must labor to acquire the same qualities and the same ideal nature. Morality is not divine or of the divine. If it is of man and human, if it is of man and human, morality takes for its basic element a fixed division into the good and the bad. But this is an arbitrary notion. It takes things that are relative and tries to impose them as absolutes. For this, good and bad differ in differing climates and times, epochs and countries. The moral notion goes so far as to say that there are good desires and bad desires and calls on you to accept the one and reject the other. But the spiritual life demands that you should reject desire altogether. Shall I continue or we'll reflect and we'll come back?
I think good to stop here, yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
This reminds me of Mother talks about spiritual hierarchy. And whenever the limited mind thinks of hierarchy, we always think of superior and inferior. The moment somebody says hierarchical arrangement, immediately the mind goes into, oh, somebody would be superior and somebody would be inferior. But Mother has shared, I'll try if I can find in the meantime. Mother has shared about hierarchy, that when each one of us is being truly a manifestation of divine, then that particular place no one else can fill. So it's like, I think last time we were talking about like a puzzle, and each piece is very, very special and unique. And if that one is lost, of course you can have other beautiful pieces, but that void cannot be filled. If a new piece arises, then it would be a new piece and beautiful also, but it won't be the exact permutation and combination of elements. So that's why we usually say that we are all very unique and very special and yet very ordinary, since we are all pieces of a puzzle, but each piece is very special. So here, when Mother says the spiritual life reveals that one essence in all, that divinity, that perfection, that ability to refine ourselves and to be the manifesting truth of our consciousness. So that one essence, that divine essence, is present in all of us, and the more we refine our instruments, we can become more capable of expressing that. So one essence in all, but reveals too its infinite diversity. So here comes the point of what Mother is talking usually about, the hierarchy, that when the supramental realization is completely taken ground, then each one of us is like totally manifesting their divinity through their instrument, and that is very special, very unique, so in that kind of a arrangement, again there is a hierarchy, and that would be a perfect situation Mother has shared about this, because each one is deserving, each one is getting its full right, full place. It's not that you are menial and that one is superior and this was inferior, not like that. Each one in its place is very, very special. But right now how we look at it is that we, most of the times we compare it with wealth. Those people who are CEOs or very wealthy, we look up to them, and people who are sweeping the floors, we look down on them, like, oh, who are you? We don't even ask them their names, we don't even look at their faces, we don't try to connect with them. Mostly, I'm talking about the most cases. Why? Because again, the idea of superior, inferior based on the money, power, social status, what is the lifestyle you are following. So this reminds me, actually, this infinite diversity that Mother talks of, this reminds me of that true hierarchy, that, and then there can be a true harmony also in that true hierarchy, because there is no fight. There is no fight for any position. Each one has a very, very special role to play, and one honors each other's role. Yeah, so it works for diversity in oneness and for perfection in that diversity. So who am I comparing myself to? I'm comparing myself to my own older version. And I know I can be a better and better and better and better version of what I am right now. So I am I'm on the path of perfecting my own instrument. So there is a perfection in this diversity as well. So please go ahead. I'll try to, in the meantime, find exact words.
I think a lot of reflection again can happen. I would request, I don't know, Sarada ji, Meera or Captain, if they have anything on this, like what we have read so far, that would be nice.
So, one thing that struck me, so this morality lifts up one artificial standard contrary to the variety of life and to the freedom of spirit. So here, what I could think of was that in choice of education, right? At least in India, it is quite uh, glaring compared to the US, where you have to choose something that is lucrative as your field of education. So if you're interested in sports or some form of arts, it's still not a very comfortable choice. And like many are not given the freedom of the your liking to choose it, and then if very rarely people do it, but after they do something that maybe that's not their true calling, they sort of have to go a long path to figure out what it would have been if they would have chosen that in the first place. So it's like a very rigid structure, as is to not be able to choose the free spirit. In that line is what I think. But I don't know if that's morality or okay.
A lot of times we hear this statement, do this, and when you ask why, you are said that because everybody is doing that or everybody does that. I've often, asked my parents that who is this everybody and who was the first person who started doing this and what could be his frame of mind? Was it like a very well thought direction that he took, or it just he wanted to take this just and he just took it and now everybody else is following? So very strongly resonate to what you're saying, that, and what here, which is very clear, is that it just picks and chooses and says, this is it, right? It doesn't have to have any universal acceptance. It doesn't have to really move towards the growth. It's just mental, fixed, and limited. And knowing that things limit us in a lot of capacities, we do them and we even want our kids to do them. it's quite sad, like, especially, how the marriages and all also are done in India. It's like, you just look for a house which is almost exactly of the same caliber, right? Like the same culture, the same religion, the same, I don't know, basic beliefs, the same financial status and stuff, because in the name of that, you will have less adjustments, right? So from one home, you just send your child in another four walls, saying that yes, now my child is safe. He would have less to adjust. It's all just, I don't know, very weird. Like fun, growth, evolution, joy, that's secondary. That will come later in life. It's all right. I don't know, when it comes to marriages, somehow even very evolved people I have seen, they really have that very limited thing that let's be safe, because there's already so much the unsurety. It's like a gamble. So at least whatever cards I can pick, let me pick the known cards. In Life Divine also, although we have barely started reading it, this thing that, how you are unlimited, right? From the source, from in its essence, you are unlimited. And yet you just keep wanting to limit yourself. It's like I keep putting lines around myself that now this is what I am, because this is what I understand. This is what I don't say that, okay, this is what I understand, and yet there would be so much more that I don't understand. And that I will have to admit that there are things that are beyond my understanding, at least now. So I just very cleverly say that this is it, this is this. So, this thing that you are the sky, and you keep saying that no, 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 I'm just this much patch, this much patch, because see, this is what I can see or perceive. Yeah.
Yeah, Shardaji, you had unmuted. You wanted to share?
Can you know?
The other thing that I was like that struck me was that in Indian households, typically when like elders come or like they leave, etc., like you do pranam and seek their blessings and all that, and it's quite like it's a very common thing. But like I always used to feel, let's say, I know about this particular person or like whoever comes, and then like why should I do that? Why, if they were really had ill will against me, like why would I purposely go and capture that to myself just because they're living for more number of years, right? That absolutely doesn't make sense. But yeah, of course, this sounds extremely outrageous, putting in a moral context, because that's something that's accepted that it's supposed to be done. I suppose it was framed in a situation where elders actually grow by the years. They also become more mature, or like they work on their progress, but it certainly isn't working at this time.
Yeah, then we say that, you do pranam, she will give a nice look to us. No? See, in front of that person, we cannot say anything. Nowadays, we are not saying anything. We don't ask her to do the pranam, and even we are not doing, because as she said, something will, we know about that person, how that will is working. Yeah, what she says.
I think parallelly, actually, this can be used since there is a convention. So, Mother, like in prayers and meditations, she tries to take everything she shows us the highest possible attitude. So, she shares that, okay, why do men care about these moral, social conventions? And now that it is there, she said, especially about the New Year's convention, I remember one prayer she's talking of. And she shares that now that anyway I am in it, can I make the best use of it? So I feel that there is something for us to learn there, because one part obviously is questioning, because morality cannot stand against if we begin to question. That's why Mother says reason has to be the king before the psychic being fully comes to front. So reason, question, why do I have to follow this? Why do, so that of course really helps. But parallelly, I think also knowing that, chalo, okay, if there is a convention to touch elderly people's feet, to be able to do it with such an attitude that it purifies you, since there is divine in everyone. So if there is a
Beautiful.
convention, why not use it nicely? I mean, why do I want to see there is ill will in me also? That person is not very special that he only has ill will, right? I know that okay, we are on the same ground. So, but he also has divinity. So, but this ego doesn't want to do that. For it's very good, easy to question, but it's very difficult to bow down.
Beautiful, Monica.
No?
Very, very beautiful.
Yeah, because the ego would ask, why should I bow down? No, what is there in that person that I should bow down? But I
Very
feel that we come to a stage that this is an arrogance. We can get rid of this. We don't need to. It may have a purpose on our journey. It may serve a purpose, questioning, being rebellious. Why should I do that? Of course. But I think we have maybe grown past that stage that we can also take this higher attitude that mother shares, that okay, when there is a convention, make use of it, like Karva Chauth. Now most of us, especially who are questioning these kind of things, we can take it in the way, why should I bow down to the husband, or why should I do what the mother-in-law tells me to do, or these kind of things. But I felt that since I know that rebelling too much or revolting too much causes too much of disharmony and hurts people's feeling, can my inward intention be very, very pure, that when I'm looking at the moon or when I'm looking at any people around me, I look at them as like there is divine in them, then I would not have problems bowing down and touching their feet. And that will also
solve many problems at
yeah.
home. We'll be at peace, and others will also be living in the peace. Yeah, very true. So earlier, this was not taken in this way. Since elderly people are saying, we will follow. We never used to ask questions. We never used to think about it. If my mother is doing, then I will also do. But nowadays it is not so. Why are you doing? All these question comes, nowadays children are asking, and which is also good, as you said. And accepting is also very good, because to, keep the peace at home, live in peace and harmony, that is very important, It's nothing wrong in going down. Yeah. Beautiful.
I remember when my mother-in-law was there, now she has crossed over. But when she was there, I used to, again, there would be Karwa Chauths, and since we are a Punjabi family, she would want me to dress up in a certain way, or, do all the bindi and everything. And I remember initially I was very not anti it, almost like, why should I do this? Why should I do this? But then suddenly, slowly I really softened down. Then I said, okay, she wants it. And it doesn't take much of my effort. And it's only once a year. And although we gradually did tone it down, like, she understood that I am not really, in favor of all this dressing up and all that. But I found out that when I began to purify my intentions on that day, that when I'm looking at the moon, or when I'm, okay, touching feet of my husband, can I just wish good for him? How much does it take, from me? So just wishing, taking that convention to just wish goodness to everyone. And you are not, of course, sharing that, okay, I am not treating you like a husband, but just wishing you good. Not sharing that a secret. But still, just having goodwill in the heart. And I think that really soothed me down. And then I did not have any problems in once in a while just, giving others happiness like that. It doesn't take much. And the problem is that we are either repelled, or either we are too attached. So there are 8 worldly concerns, and out of those 8 worldly concerns, dualities, this is one of them. Aversion, I don't like it, repulsion, and oh, I like it, oh, I like it. So when either I'm here, oh, I like it, or either, oh my God, I can't just tolerate it. Both of them are like crushing stones in which we can get crushed. They make us very uneasy. So the idea is to transcend both aversion and attraction. And when I'm changing my inner attitude in any situation, then neither am I aversive, nor am I attracted. Just for the sake of doing, I can, do it as a matter of purifying myself. So I think this, if we take this from mother's prayers and meditations and choose the highest possible, at times it may not be possible, but whenever it is possible, it really purifies our inner being. Yeah.
Thank you, Monica. It was beautiful. Yeah, really touched me.
I'm so glad this was discussed today. Like years back, I think at least 5 years back or something, I had attended a camp by Acharya Prashant. And I think again how everything is a helper and everything is a bar, right? If somebody is just going through life sleeping, you have to wake them up and say that what are you doing, right? Who are you going down to? उसकी औकात भी है कि तुम उसके आगे झुको. And so in that camp, sir had said this to, a few of us that how can you go
Sorry,
down?
spent their
Right?
life what? Can you repeat that?
Like sleeping, right? Sleepwalking, not really
Oh,
living,
okay.
but just complying to everything without questioning. So I think that must be the pretext, because the whole session, like maybe 15-20 minutes was this, that how do you go down? How and why? And somehow it didn't go well. In the sense, I just could not accept what he said, right? Because it just had always kind of not resonated very well, because it was like, it's just about going down. Why would I think about going down, right? And no matter, forget the reasons why they are telling me to go down. I can have my own reasons. Age is not a factor exactly. And yet, exactly what you said, that all of us have some good. The weirdest person would also have something, suddenly they would just have the biggest heart, maybe, right? Or I don't know, a basic goodwill. So, and a lot of times, when I would go down, because in my side, there was not much going down, but when I got married there, it was a smaller city, lot of going down. I would go down, but actually I would be saying, may God bless you. Like I am the one going down, and yet because the things that they would tell me, I would not even want them, the whatever blessings kind of. So this never, I could never digest that. झुक कैसे जाती हो तुम, and I would be like, ऐसे झुक जाते हैं kind of. So it's really nice because it all depends on me and how I take it. And yet for somebody who is always bent down, to him, this is a good question, that why am I always bent down? Who am I? But once you know who you are, like not know, we don't know, and yet it's okay to now say, now I can bend too. It doesn't cost much, and I'm great.
I think I remember in one talk, it was Dr. Alok Pandey, who was sharing that something on rituals and customs. I can't remember exactly, but he was sharing that don't touch everyone's feet. Be very careful because there is a transfer of energy and all that, this kind of thing. Now, again, as you were sharing, that everything has a proper place. When I am living in a complete ignorance, open to all the forces, then of course what you were sharing, that question, and ask who you are touching and why. But parallelly, when I grow in this journey, and at least mentally reading Sri Aurobindo's words, I realize that it is the divine in me and divine in you. So when I'm bowing down, the divine is bowing down to the divine. What's the big deal about it? So I think, again, not to make a formula, as we were sharing, very clearly, that not to make a formula for anything, but if there is something to be done, and we can probably take the highest possible attitude, because now we know of the highest possible attitude, at least in theory and intellect. we must experiment along with all the stages which are equally valid, even the questioning, and at times, you keep on doing it for years and you don't realize, that what have you been following? Yeah.
Recently, when Navratri happened, right? So here, one is Garba and Dandya, and the other one in South Indian households is they arrange these dolls in steps or like sets of pictures of God, like idols of God or like any other thing. It's a very natural thing, right? And yet this time, I've never felt this in any of the years, but yet this time I was thinking, why do they do this? Like, how is this related to what actually happened? What the story of Navratri is, right? And then I was asking my mom, and she was also like, I really don't know why they do this. It seems quite absurd if you think about it in the original context of what Navratri actually is. But yet sometimes it's just followed like for years together, and then after a point, like the source is lost.
Yeah, actually, the Navratri time, we will invoke Shakti. So that should be the main reason. See, in our parents' house, my father used to read Devi Mahatmyam every day for 10 days. Even otherwise, he will do all the puja every day. But on special days, he will read Devi Mahatmyam, which will take some 3.5 hours. So he will just go into that and he will enjoy doing it. And he was a person who will not believe in all these, but he will believe. But he will not show anything outside. If it is done, it's okay. If it is not done, it's okay. But I am connected with my Devi. That was his principle in life. And we used to, as younger children, we used to arrange dolls, and it would give lot of happiness. We'll go every house and we'll call everyone home and we'll give sweets and they will sing songs, whether you know to sing or not. Everybody will go and sing in everybody's house. It was a great get together at that time. But now I'm not doing so much. I will do some 2-3 dolls in the God's place, but I will read Devi Mahatmyam every day. When she asked me, it really stuck to me that, why should we do that? Because, we don't, nowadays, that get together feeling is not there for us. We don't feel like going to everybody's house. One thing is, common topic is not there nowadays. If we don't talk about others, there is no common topic. Other thing is, it's very difficult because, Bangalore traffic, traveling from one place to another, we'll see in Zoom. We'll say hi bye. So when she asked me, I was not able to answer really finding out. Because if we go and ask some elderly person, they will not be knowing. Maybe that answer will not be convincing to us. So
Absolutely. I think you correctly said it, that each thing, when it started, as Taru was sharing earlier, that it had maybe in that time, in that phase, in that culture and lifestyle, it had a purpose. But now, just to continue doing it, it's like almost seems foolish. And maybe to have something new now, according to whatever one's heart is feeling like.
yeah.
And this reminds me of, I think maybe you have heard, all of you, about this story of Buddha. I think there was some story like Buddha and the cat. Anyone remembers? Taru, you remember this? They used to tie this cat around this tree. Can you share?
I don't think it was Buddha, yeah, but when I heard it, it wasn't Buddha.
Maybe
It was
someone else. Yeah, please go ahead.
a story. Yeah. So basically, there was this guru who used to meditate, and a group of students used to meditate with him. And then there was a stray cat that they adopted. So that cat was very naughty and she would do a lot of mischief while the meditation was happening. So the guru said that, let's tie the cat before we start meditating so that we don't get disturbed. And as soon as we'll be done, we'll open the cat. So they were like, okay. And then it continued. And then the cat died. So then everybody got so upset that what will we tell the guru? Let's go and find another cat. How will we meditate now? Because there's no cat to tie. So that is the truth of our existence. And actually we laugh at these stories, but we actually need to cry that are we this foolish? How did I the same thing, like I remember I had the blessing to question this when I was really young. Like I did it once, but I couldn't believe I did it. In my house, there used to be this practice of say if you ask for something from the god and if it's given, you say that, okay, I'll give laddus for 200 rupees or I'll do this and this. So I remember I was very young and I had something, I don't know, class 2 or something, I don't remember. There was a temple at the back of a house, like maybe 5 minutes walk. So I took those laddus and I went and I offered them. Then they give it back to you, right? They just keep one and then when I came out, a group of people, children, they just rushed towards me to grab it. But I remember my mom had said, save some for the home because you're supposed to give it. So, I was like, oh my God, they're taking everything and stuff. So, and it felt good too, right? That those excited kids were taking so much. So the whole concept that, okay, first I'll ask God for something big. And then when he gives, I'll give him a laddu. And then I have to protect it from everybody. So I went home and I said, this did not make any sense to me. And the whole dynamics, right? How is this happening and how are we believing in this that I offer a larial, I offer anything, and that's the exchange. In the sense, oh my God, like, do we have anything up here? And so, yeah, thank
And I
you.
think the pride we take in giving God something back. Have you seen that whenever we offer something to a temple or maybe some golden plated something we are offering, how much pride we take in that? Look, what have I offered to the temple? It's really crazy. Yeah.
Last 2-3 months back, in one of the temples, Shardamba temple, our family member, they have offered Tirumangalyam, that, Tali, South Indians wear, this Mangal Sutra. Yeah, now I got it right. Yeah, they offered Mangal Sutra to the Devi. So for that, they invited everyone, for all of us. We were invited to see the Devi and have lunch together. And that time we saw the guru of that mutt also, Sharda Mutt of Sringeri. So we all went and we stood in front of the Devi. So it was so good, the presence we could feel so very well. We all saw, and suddenly the person who offered started telling everyone, see, we have given this, we have given this. See, after listening to that, I felt very, very bad. See, to whom you are giving, from where it has come, everything is hers, no? We don't have anything in possession, no? Any possession we have, we cannot have. Unless she gives you, what can you give her back?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I felt very sad and I felt like crying. Why these people are like this? See this sari? I gave the sari to the Devi. What is this? The amount of pride, we could see how people are, and my husband was saying, people are ignorant. You don't treat, you don't have to feel bad for that. At least next time when we do something like this, we'll be cautious. We should never show this type of behavior, which was, just now you said the amount of pride we have in offering also. One person, my husband's friend went to ashram 5-6 months back and he said, I offered 500 rupees. Then I told my husband, please don't put this phone in the speaker, I'll hit him.
Yeah. I think
See,
mother.
they
Yeah, please go ahead. I think
no, they know only that much. Why are you feeling sad or why are you feeling angry? They cannot understand. They live like this. God, I will give you an Gunarial, you please give me this. I will give you 500 rupees, you give me this. That is the practice we have been doing. So don't blame anybody. At least we should not do that. Yeah, sorry, I spoke too much
yeah,
today.
no, I think good to have these examples in front because this is how our mind operates, the transactional mind. That what will I get? And even on the path of yoga, we see ourselves asking, okay, what have I gotten on this path of surrender? What will I get? Will I get peace when I will surrender? Even peace,
Yeah.
because I am using the path of surrender to achieve something else. This is the transactional mind. And this is what needs a radical shift, that we have been used to using everything as a means to an end. We want boys in the house. Why? Because when we will have a boy in the house, in my old age, he will be of support. See, poor guy doesn't even know that he was born with a this kind of a purpose. To have, even when we are choosing, many people when choosing spouses also, as we were sharing, they look at the house, and because they're also a means to an end. So everywhere, I think our transactional mind is in operation. What will I get if I do that? We can't, the transactional mind cannot understand that we just do it for the joy of doing it. And at times, we just do it because it just seems right. There may not be much joy, there may be even pain in doing that action or maybe saying that word. But there's something in me which knows this is the right action, right word. Forget joy, joy may not be there. So we don't understand that there is this knowing that all of us have, a knowing quality, where intuitively we know why we must do certain and certain things. People, many a times, may in they can travel like 80 kilometers, 50 kilometers, and if other people are asking them, why did you go there, what did it give you, so much of effort and all that, they can't answer. They just knew they had to go. They can't answer. There was something right which needs to be done, and they just know. So no explanation needed, nothing for the transactional mind, it's empty handed. But there is some deeper life that is being lived through that. And mother talks about, there were some people, when I think during the time of construction of Auroville, where I read that some people came from foreigners and they said that we also want to be, part of this supramental realization. We also want this realization, something like that. And this message came to mother, and mother said, why? Why should they get that? What have they given to the divine? But this is how we operate, this is how I think it's good to notice it, and through others I think we get to notice it. It's the same thing in us, as mother shares that anything that shocks you in the other is present, be sure, in relative lesser more degree, it is there in us. So as you were sharing that through others we can get to know of our transactional mind, and to step back from whenever it arises. Yeah.
Yes, Captain, you are very, very, very silent today, yet playing hide and seek from one account to the other. Requesting you for any reflections, and I think then we'll end and we'll probably continue.
Today power is going, internet connection is going off and on actually. So I was trying through phone. So again the light came, and again something like that is taking place.
You are playing Leela with us.
Yes, yes.
Hide and seek. Yeah.
Hide and seek. Yes, absolutely. And today's topic is little high funda. like the spirituality and morality. There are total mixing up in our mind. So to get the know of it, uh, the like spirituality is still understandable. Actually, the morality it fluctuates. It fluctuates. The definition changes person to person, and so there is no the one standard. There are very standards of morality, and nowadays we say that the moral thing has totally gone. The moral education, what we're learning in the school and colleges and all this, so that has gone. So now we have become total the materialistic actually. So we do not give much value to the morality now. The things are changing. And when Mira was speaking about, to the elders and this and that, so I was remembering about the Ramakrishna Paramahansa. He was a priest in the temple. The Rani Rasmani was the lady who constructed the temple at Dakshineshwar, and she was so pious actually that father-in-law when she got married, the father-in-laws and mother-in-laws that feet was being washed, and that water was drunk. Actually, they are a living person, like father-in-law and mother-in-law, and they used to wash their feet, and she used to drink that water. And when this temple was inaugurated, Ramakrishna Paramahansa was there, and there are more than a lakh sannyasis. Means the people from all over they think they came all over India. They came to know from Himalayas and things like that and all. And she kept a cloth on the floor, and all those sannyasis were requested to pass through that. So she collected that dust from their feet, and so that she was keeping throughout her life. And if anybody was asking for it, that blessings and all she used to distribute, and like that was kept in a sacred place. So this sort of things are there. Nobody asked question at the time. Nobody, this was the practice or tradition or whatever maybe, and that has a lot of good points. And now, and it has got nowadays we can criticize that this is blind faith and things like that. But it was there, and blind faith has got its own merits and demerits and things like that. So nowadays the things are changing society. Maybe we are evolving in. This is also evolution actually, what we are passing through. This is a type of evolution. What type of evolution that we do not know, but we are evolving, humankind. Thank you.
Yeah, Monica, even now, when we perform Shraddh, at home for the elders, so after the people eat and when they leave, the person who's doing the Shraddh will put the Angavastram, that down, and the people who ate will walk on that. After that, he will, the person who did that Shraddh will take that Angavastram and he will just put that this one dust on his head. So even now it is there, as Badarji said, we do not know whether it is right or wrong. Whatever the elders were doing, see, showing some respect. See, you had come to our house, you had, taken food, you had blessed us. So everything is fine, but we don't know whether it is right or not right. Anyway, we are following. So,
I think as we were sharing, the crux of the matter is that if my attitude is right,
yeah.
even if it's a robber actually who has come to my place,
Yeah.
And I can have this attitude that, okay, please walk over my gamcha, and like
Yeah.
we can do that, and it just depends on how purifying my inner attitude is. So it's not that even that person has to do something good and religious for me that I would touch the dirt of his feet.
Yeah.
That person can be a robber. I think there are a couple of stories about this also, that somebody did some robbery, and there also it was like jai ho. Yeah. So just as mother says, the crux of it all, that it all depends on our inner attitude. If we can shift that, then any outer situation, no matter how ugly, it can actually turn into something very beautiful.
Yeah, my father always used to say he will not eat, since a week before, prior to grandparents' Shraddh and all. And on that day, he will not, from previous day, the whole 2 days he will not eat. And we used to ask, one day someone was asking, all the people who come and eat here are not like you. They will go everywhere, they will eat whatever they feel like, drink whatever they want to. My father was saying, it is not about them, it is about me. I am feeling good. I'm doing something to my parents. So I'm not worried about them.
Absolutely. Now, see, how the inner attitude can, irrespective of the outer situation, his inner work is going on.
I
Beautiful.
cannot go and stop them eating or doing something, but
Yeah.
I can do what I want to. So we used to feel, he's very rigid. But now we feel that, this attitude everybody, if we have, then it will solve many problems.
Good to have that inspiration around us. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Taru, you are muted.
I just got the message that I'm right. So just before we end, just relax. Just this first page, I think, are done with it. So creating something mental, fixed and limited, it asks us all to conform to it, or must labor to acquire the same qualities and the same ideal nature. Morality is not divine or of the divine, it is of man and human. So I think this is where we'll end. Knowing that these are, again, human laws, and like you said, Mother has spoken a lot about how once you become a sadhak or you're on the path, now a divine law, a higher law, you fall under. And so, yeah, that's so beautiful. So, page 17 from the first line, we'll take again next time. A beautiful topic, nice sharing. Thank you so much. And we'll just take this last minute and we'll just say thank you for the things that we can see. Praying to see the things that we can't and that we need to see. And sharing the merit of this understanding with everybody. May all beings be well and may they be truly happy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Taru,